to the Fantasy Footballers Podcast with your hosts, Andy Holloway, Jason Moore, and Mike Wright.
Welcome in. The Fantasy Footballers Podcast, Jason Moore, Mike Wright, Andy Holloway, Thursday, February 12th. We welcome you into the show. Happy to have you with us. We're going to talk some fantasy football today.
Oh, that's good.
Going to talk a little bit of little Valentines crushes. I don't know. Something thematic with the holiday.
Very timely. Is Ken Walker still the Super Bowl MVP?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Probably for a while.
Probably about a year.
Yeah.
I didn't think of it that way.
Are you a reigning Super Bowl MVP?
I think you are.
I guess you are, technically. That's good for us, Jason. That won't be brought up again. This will be the last time we hear about it.
Honestly, I doubt we hear that as much as the reigning champion that he is.
Yeah.
So
That'll
I'm
be
guessing
more.
that comes out more than the Ken Walker, which is way worse.
How I guess I'm curious, we all have varying degrees of interest in fantasy football in our extended families.
Mm-hmm.
And I know, my wife she's not into fantasy football. She's not into the NFL. She's happy to oblige Al Borland when he calls her up and says, "Do you want to hop on the show and congratulate
Talk
him
crap."
For his title last year, not the champion anymore, of course. But like, how much does your wife understand how good the year was for you in football?
Good
is what I
question.
want to know.
I tried to express it. I don't think
When I was dancing through the house, pantsless.
Well, I mean, and my video out in the street with the fireworks, like
she filmed it.
she was filming, and the kids were in on the act and everything. But I don't think she realizes how good. I've said, I was like, when like after the McCaffrey and everything, I was like, this was the best year of my professional life in terms of giving advice and me taking my own advice. But so I don't know if she really knows, but
I'm just curious. I was just curious how much.
she just cared that I didn't lose in the championship.
Right, yeah.
That's what I was going to say.
That's all
for
she
her
cares
sake.
about.
They
Yes.
notice when losses happen,
Yeah.
but do they know the depths of
Well,
your
the fireworks,
your victories?
The
But if-
fireworks let her know that I
It's
won.
pretty good reason. The Ultimate Draft Kit pre-order available now, lowest possible price, some amazing pre-order bonuses, including a chance to win a Listener League spot to play with us in 2026, all available at ultimatedraftkit.com. If you get the UDK Plus or the Ultimate subscription, you will get instant access to the Dynasty Pass and all of our Dynasty startup rankings and content that we have up there right now, including our initial pre-draft rookie rankings. The draft is not that far away.
Nope.
But not that close either. We got a little bit of time to breathe.
The combine is less than 2 weeks.
Okay. Well, yeah, you're right.
Combine, and then
That's insane.
I know.
The
then
NFL doesn't let you take a break.
the running back free agent period, where like George Pickens will get franchised. So I mean, we'll have.
I like that it's just the running back free agent.
Well,
That's what I
because-
mean. Of like,
What are you going to call it, the Rashid Shaheed period of the year?
Alec Pierce I think he's a very interesting player, and he could end up somewhere.
What about David Njoku and Kyle Pitts?
Yeah, I mean,
Huh?
not that.
Okay. I care about Kyle Pitts actually.
Yeah, I feel like
of my
maybe
football
Njoku's
cards.
Njoku's world is sort of closing.
He could go somewhere and be fascinating.
Yeah. Fascinating's fine. I can deal with fascinating. But yeah, Alec Pierce, Rashid Shaheed, no matter who signs him, there's no point that we're going to be blown away with the significance of that signing.
Not likely.
It will be fascinating, but it's not the game breaker superstar signings that were like, it's Etienne and Breece Hall and Ken Walker that are super interesting. Ken Walker, I think it was the parade this morning where John Schneider was talking about,
he tried to make a joke about
him negotiating with him.
It
It didn't land.
premise good, execution of joke, very poor.
Yeah, the Solo Cup had to do with that.
Yeah, I was going to say, I don't think he was in his sharpest mind state.
What a tradition we have where, like, after someone wins a Super Bowl or a championship,
See them
we get them
publicly
progressively intoxicated over the course of the parade route until you speak at the end.
Right.
Speak at the beginning.
Yes. That's
who
you
planned
really
that,
need to.
right?
It needs to be
Remember Brady throwing the
I
trophy
also
on the
remember
boat?
him
Yes.
being shuffled by multiple
like
people.
a puppet
Yes.
Yeah.
falling over, and it's like, let me put my hand up there, Tom, so you can walk.
That's funny, right?
Yeah, that was. It's fun.
Goodness
You're right. They
gracious.
should talk at the beginning, and then do like a big circle parade, and at the end they just scream and shout and wave and go.
And get into their Ubers.
Yeah.
Get taken
There
home.
were some very funny Sam Darnold T-shirts. If you did not see those, I saw it on Kay Adams' show.
It's still
It was a delightful T-shirt. It sends their message.
It is an incredible story that Sam Darnold has written,
Seriously,
because Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson haven't reached the Super Bowl. Sam Darnold goes from seeing ghosts to getting kicked out of a place where he won 14 games, not brought back. We have a quick question of the day.
how many? You know, the video you're watching in the back of Deuce's eye. We can hear the sound, right? Can
They
you
can't-
not
they
figure
can't-
out how?
they can't
Can you
find
not
the
figure
video.
out how to stop the video?
There's a
They don't know
video.
where.
What
it's-
are you clowns doing? Is that
it
your
on
phone? Your phone?
Do you understand the heart rate situation back there now?
Oh man,
Something
they were.
Andy said triggered Siri to start playing something on my phone.
I heard it say something about
What?
Kendrick Lamar is playing on Spotify.
What?
The first thing I heard, I thought it was Matt talking, and he's just.
I did,
And
too.
I assumed that
did
was
too.
bathroom
Sorry,
break
Matt.
related. That's never happened before.
So
Remember when you tell us to mute ourselves?
Yeah, let me check that real quick. I mean, like, he's a Super Bowl winner, and how many? You know, I don't know if this is a Kyle question, if we can even get the answer right now, but like, he won 14 games back to back.
Yeah.
Like, that in itself is an accomplishment.
Yeah, and
It's wild.
Colin Cowherd, I think, was trying to be, Colin Cowherd and have the big question of, like, what other quarterback would you even start a franchise with right now
Over
after,
Sam Darnold?
because of Sam Darnold's
Stop.
2 seasons of.
Stop it.
But it was a
Stop
point.
it.
The only point that landed with that conversation was what you just said. You look at the last 30 games Sam Darnold has started,
Yeah.
and you have to just, I don't know, give him his flowers.
Yes,
It's been
yes, you do.
amazing.
Now I just want to find an image of Sam Darnold in a backwards hat.
Yeah, I mean, go for it.
Because Coward will lose his mind. Oh, man, it's only forward hats, guys.
Well, that's
He's a
just
coward guy.
He's that kind of a leader. Watch this. Leader,
Yeah.
not a
Whoa.
not a leader.
Whoa.
You're not the host here.
Leader,
Uh,
hooligan.
can't do it. Can't wear backwards hats.
Quick question of the day. Do you have an early fantasy football crush for 2026? Like I said, we'll play into the Valentines Day. Is there somebody that right out of the gate here, maybe you didn't get to see him on the field a bunch last year, maybe you did and you just like the opportunity, but is there an early fantasy football crush for 2026 that you want to talk about on February 12th?
Yeah, I'm gonna. We just talked about David Njoku. He is not my fantasy crush, but he was in the way of my fantasy crush. Harold Fannin Jr., rookie sensation, who is really, really overlooked for what he did, because right now in most consensus boards, he's the third most important rookie. He's the third most desirable rookie in dynasty leagues, and I'll bet in drafts next year he gets drafted.
You mean out of the position?
out of the tight ends, because you
It's
had
like, man, he really moved up the rankings.
no, because you had Colson Loveland, you had
Yeah.
Tyler Warren, who are the higher drafted, first round draft capital in the NFL draft, supposed to be awesome. And Harold Fannin, the tight end 5 on the season in his rookie year, outscored both of them, was dealing with Shador Sanders and Dylan Gabriel and David Njoku in the way, and he just got it done, similar how he did in college, where it's like, I don't know, the competition is this, he runs duck-footed, and he just gets it done. And now I feel like this is a team that's really going to be built towards him, around him. Hopefully they bring in some better quarterback competition, but even if they don't,
can't.
yeah,
I don't think that they can.
well, I mean, they can in the sense, I know you don't want to hear it, but Deshaun Watson is going to be part of this team. He is going to be battling for the coaching or for the quarterback position, and he's just got to battle Shedeur Sanders. So it should get better than rookie Shedeur Sanders either way. My point is, I think he is.
Did you watch Deshaun Watson play?
Oh yeah, I mean,
I take rookie,
but I watched Shedeur Sanders play
too.
too.
Rookie Shedeur Sanders, and they did talk about drafting a quarterback highly. I mean, that's been in the news around Cleveland to do that again. I mean, you're going to end up like no disrespect to Fannin, he's awesome as a talent, but I'm much more confident in the stability of those other two guys.
Yeah. So right now, Harold Fannin is tight end 5 in best ball. Yeah. So he is being respected by the drafters. In my opinion, according to Jason, he's still being disrespected because he's behind.
Yeah, who's disrespecting him?
So right now it's McBride, Bowers.
I haven't seen that. I felt like it's
Loveland, Warren, and then Fannin.
What I'm saying
everybody else has a crush on him too.
What I'm saying is specific to the 3 rookies from last year. But generally speaking, Loveland and Tyler Warren are seen as more valuable and higher fantasy assets than Fannin. I don't know that that's actually true.
All right, my fantasy football early crushes for 2026, Malik Neighbors.
Oh, yeah.
Who we did not get to see enough of last year, but with the new regime, Jackson Dart year 2, some stability for him. I'm excited about Malik Neighbors. We lost a handful of players last year. It does not make fantasy football better when Malik Neighbors is off the field. He's an exciting, explosive player. And then Amari and Hampton, who I feel like this season kind of feels like it never really started for Hampton. It was just like, you began the year, Najee Harris was going to get the opportunities. He gets knocked out. Hampton starts to get going. He gets knocked out. They come back. Their offensive line is beat up. I just feel like we never really got a prolonged exposure to what he's capable of doing for the team. And so I'm very excited about that with Mike McDaniels.
It was actually that way for
Did I do it again?
Yeah, you did it again.
This is 100% your fault.
I know.
I had no problem with this for my whole life.
It's to my credit. I am proud that I have made you say Mike McDaniels. It's really outside of Ashton Jeanty, who obviously his situation is going to change quite a bit. I think Kubiak coming in could improve that. But the entire rookie running back draft class from 2025, which was one of the better ones to come out in recent memory, chock full of talent, and almost all of them showed that talent, but almost always just for a little. You saw a blip of it. Like Hampton didn't get his. Judkins got hurt. You had Henderson have his
he was only in charge
incredible middle of the season, and then
Scattaboo.
Yes. Oh, that's still too soon.
You're right. That is a good point.
So it's like I'm actually really hopeful for the 2025 rookie running backs next year.
No, that makes sense. By the way, we are talking about Jeanty on today's show. We're doing shocking stats. We're also talking about Warren and Loveland.
The Chase Brown continues to be on my list of he's going as in best ball where there's wide receivers are definitely propped up, but he's at the back of the second round and he's behind like Derrick Henry or Chase Brown. I think it will be a tough decision. And then same teams, Chargers. Like Quentin Johnston and Trey Harris to me are going to be really interesting in drafts because neither of them will likely end up being drafted extremely high. They will be value wide receivers. And the 2 seasons that Q just put together are like solid seasons. Now it didn't go forever because of the offensive line problems. And then will Trey Harris, who showed up in flashes, will he be a full-time starter now after being a second-round pick last year? Does Keenan Allen leave the team? And what does McDaniel do? Like, who does McDaniel see as the true field stretcher? Like, Q has been that guy, but maybe he looks at Trey Harris and says, no.
It's actually McDan.
We can just call him Mike McD. I mean, that might make it easier for you. But one of those guys will be the field stretcher. So I think that'll be a fun off-season thing as we're trying to get information on it.
All right, let's talk a little news.
News and notes from around the league.
You like Mike McD's? That's dangerous. Tight end David Njoku, scheduled to be a free agent, announced he will not return to the team. He made a big post about goodbye, Cleveland.
Hey, Cleveland going to Cleveland. Remember when they could have traded David Njoku at the trade deadline and got something?
Hot commodity.
And you had his replacement ready?
They were making a big playoff push.
Man, goodness gracious, this team.
Shedeur Sanders will get, quote, runway to be the number 1 quarterback for the summer and early fall. That was also the article that talked about them drafting a quarterback.
What about late fall? just we'll give him some runway, like
I don't.
pretty early.
It's weird. Like
specifically early fall.
Do you guys absolutely hate him?
His play was
nothing to
very
do with
bad.
him as a guy.
His play was not always bad.
It was.
He had bad games and he had bad stretches, but he also had very good stretches at times.
He does have a lot of talent. He has a lot of physical tools, but I don't. When things go bad for him,
You don't think he can develop though? I mean, you've seen bad rookie years. This was a player that was at one point a top 5 pick.
right?
I'm not saying he will reach that, and he certainly probably won't reach it in Cleveland. I understand all of that. I'm just saying that players look bad early in their career, and they're definitely going to look bad in Cleveland earlier in their career.
Yes.
I just, it's not like this dude practiced as to be a starter for the first half of the year.
But it was.
I just wonder if there should be a little bit more optimism around the potential that he's their future versus Watson or a rookie.
He just like his advanced analytics.
I'm talking about Pro Bowler Shedeur
Yeah,
Sanders.
his advanced analytics are catastrophically bad, and all my, I'm like fantasies in my bio. I don't know what I'm talking about, but everything bad that I saw Shedeur do when I was scouting him, he fell right back into all those really bad habits. Always backing up, never getting into the pocket, creating. It's all I'm saying. When he makes a mistake, it's a bad mistake, and it's just like it's a drive killer. So, do they have the people in place to fix it? It's not impossible because of the physical tools, but it will take a lot of work to get him where he needs to be.
ESPN Ryan McFadden reporting, comically to me, Alec Pierce, Rashid Shaheed are on the radar for the Raiders. Both of those players seem like the most Raiders signings ever to me. I mean, Alec Pierce, Rashid Shaheed, both of those players to me are not complete wide receivers. They're both extremely fast, deep threats. I'm not sure if I'm a football team which player I'd rather have between those two, if I'm honest with you. I think
it's tough because Shaheed can do special teams.
That's it. It's like Shaheed, I think, brings probably more total to your team with less production that you see on a stat sheet probably, or certainly in a fantasy football stat sheet, but maybe is the more valuable player. But this is where we're at. I mean, if these guys go, if one of them goes to the Raiders, and we're talking about, let's say Pierce goes to the Raiders. I don't think none of us are excited about this situation. You've got other players there already. Bowers is going to be the primary target. You've got a rookie quarterback.
Say betting against wide receivers for rookie quarterbacks is a very winning strategy. It doesn't always work. Sometimes they actually do come through, but the bet has been really strong. So year one, I would not be interested. But Mendoza looks like he could be a real quarterback.
Did you know that this last season was Alec Pierce's career high in receptions? Do you remember the number?
Oh, I mean, is he in the 40s?
He is. He's in the 40s.
Yeah.
He made the 40s. He
had 1,000 yards.
That's literally the most problematic.
What's 1,000 divided by 20?
He had 1,000 yards and 47 receptions.
He is
it's just the most
fewest receptions for a 1,000-yard season since 1990. I mean,
that's the most problematic possible signing for a rookie quarterback ever.
It reminds me of like the early seasons of Deshaun Jackson, where the volume wasn't there, but it was always big plays.
Yeah, which he can do. It's just harder to do. We looked at that rookie quarterback study a while back. I think
Kyle just popped it up. Deshaun Jackson, 47 for 1,056. So
that was the all-time highest with under 50 receptions.
So, wow.
Yeah, I mean,
so it reminds me exactly of Deshaun Jackson
because it was almost an identical season, same receptions, almost the same yards. It just both those guys would scare the tarnation out of me for dynasty and for, I don't know. Pierce could end up somewhere much better. Obviously,
he could.
This was interesting. Zach Robinson, the new Buccaneers offensive coordinator, because they collect a new one every year. But this one, we respect what Zach Robinson brings to the table.
Mm-hmm.
Says he sees Bucky Irving in a very similar light to Bijan Robinson with what he can do in the passing game.
Zachary. I mean,
that's a kind comment.
Yeah. Zach.
I mean, look, it's good to hear your OC
to
relate
Bijan,
you to a superstar simply from a workload perspective. You want him on the field. You want him catching passes. This is a good comment. It's mostly irrelevant. He's not Bijan. I don't think anybody's out there saying Bucky and Bijan are, interchangeable. It's still good, though. You don't want – you could have someone come in and say, I think he's so talented. He's going to be, I'm going to work him in as part of a great, talented core of running backs. Remember Aaron Glenn when he got to the Jets and was talking about how great their running back room was because he's talking up the backups and, it wasn't just Brees being the special player. And it's like, I would much rather hear this. Tell me how special you're.
He's on pace for 51 receptions last year.
Rashad White is a free agent.
Rashad White did the David Njoku thing and basically posted.
Did he?
That I'm
out?
Yeah, that I'm out.
That's the most encouraging thing to me is that if you're comparing him to a guy that catches a ton of passes out of the backfield, and we looked at the truth of the running back position earlier this offseason, and it was a really down year for running back receptions. That's the only – I don't think he's Bijan, but it's encouraging to me that you're talking about Bucky Irving to be your pass-catching specialist. That's super encouraging.
Bucky's weird, man. He's in this nebulous area of people aren't quite sure what to do with him. His
points per game were almost the exact same as last year, but he only scored 1 touchdown, and he scored 8 last year. He seems like a steal.
He could be. Here in best ball, in ADP right now, running back 14 is Breece Hall. Then it's Ken Bone Walker. Then it's Bucky.
Wow.
So 2 guys that don't have teams.
Right.
Yeah, it's I think Bucky is sneakily I mean, with 1 touchdown. I know he missed time, but 1 touchdown on the ground. There's some positive regression. Giants are hiring Brian Callahan to be their quarterback coach.
Some disagreements internally on whether this is good or bad.
Internally
news.
here, not with their team.
Yeah. Mike, I know you are not a fan of Brian Callahan and what he did at his Titans
I'm just
tenure.
looking directly at the Titans, and Cam Ward seemingly got much better
overnight
when Brian Callahan was fired. And that feels bad when you're supposed to be an offensive guru type of a coach. When the team improves, not over a course of a few games, it was like we started watching Cam Ward like, oh, maybe it's not just a disaster here.
The nice thing, though, is that maybe Callahan is not greatly equipped to be the play designer and play caller and have too much fall on his shoulders, but he's being hired as a quarterback's coach. He's not the offensive coordinator or the head coach or the play caller.
Pretty good offensive coordinator for 5 years with Joe Burrow in Cincinnati.
Yeah.
So I
think it's pretty good.
Some of these guys aren't equipped to be a head coach. The pressure was on. The screws were. He knew he was potentially on the way out. I don't know. Rookie quarterbacks get better over time, Mike. I mean,
yes, it just seemed overnight.
Yeah. I mean, he did not do the job in Tennessee. But I'm not too freaked out about this. I'd be happier if you told me Cliff Kingsbury had signed that contract there.
Yeah, I think it's also a combination of it starts with Matt Nagy, where you're like, oh, and then Callahan, you're like, oh,
you got double.
Double groans going on for the Giants' offensive hires.
All right, we'll take a break. We'll jump into some shocking stats from 2025, some fun conversations. Before we move into shocking stats, I did want to check back. Is there any videos you guys want to watch back there? And
you could just prop your phone up on the table.
We could do like a YouTube video segment.
Oh, dude.
Favorite video from Jeremy's phone.
You know what I'm so jealous of for other content creators?
What's that?
The reaction videos.
Yeah, we never get to react to other.
You're like, hey, this video that went viral or someone really put in a lot of work? How about a video of me watching that video?
Yeah. Yeah, what were you watching back there?
Sign me up.
You even know
Kendrick Lamar halftime show, apparently.
Gee, fine. I'll watch Lamar.
Yeah, we'll let you know what we think.
And you can watch us watching Lamar.
Oh, a double?
Yeah.
When do we get into the watcher of the watcher?
That's what he's saying.
Well, no, Mike's taking it one more
level.
level.
More level.
I'm saying Jason watches a video of me watching
Yeah.
Kendrick Lamar.
I actually
And reacting.
want.
Is he reacting to your reaction?
yes.
I wanna-
Yes.
I want to watch.
He cannot react to the original video. He has to react to
Correct.
your
Correct.
reaction.
I
It's a
wanna
review
watch,
of the review.
I want
Right.
to watch an audience watching your reaction video, and I'll react to the crowd.
Okay. They're
Yeah.
oohing.
This is good.
Oh, no,
content.
they're booing.
Let's jump in.
How'd you do that? It's actually, I'm not even mad. That's amazing.
All right, we're going to bounce around a little bit. We have the team here has pulled out a handful of
Number 4 will shock you.
shocking. I'm starting with number 4.
No, you can't start with
Oh
a number
man,
that I
that's
named.
the one.
That's what I want to talk about first.
That's fine because I meant number 7.
Yeah.
Will
Look,
shake you to your bones.
we'll call this Dak the loser.
I don't care.
Dak
for
the loser.
that.
Doesn't
No, no,
sound
no.
very nice.
I actually want to have a conversation about Dak beyond even this shocking stat. But here is the stat. Dak Prescott had the widest fantasy points per game gap of between wins and losses of any top quarterback ever. So when they won, the Cowboys, he was 24 points a game, and that is pure elite fantasy production. When they lost, it was 12.7 points a game. So we know how much a blessing the Dallas defense was to our existence. The other like side conversation about Dak is I saw a first, is it 10 years now for Dak? Can you check that for me? I think he's right around the 10-year mark as a
He's
quarterback.
played 10.
So 2016 was his first year, so this will be his 10th season. If you go look side by side at the statistics,
It'll be his 11th season.
what year is it?
Yeah, this will. He has.
You have to count the 6.
He has finished.
Oh, okay.
He has.
You gotta
finished
count to
10
0.
seasons.
I got you. If you look at the first 10 years of Drew Brees and the first 10 years of Dak Prescott and you put their numbers next to each other,
Oh.
Drew Brees, renowned, well thought of,
Hall of Famer now.
Hall of Famer, and you look at what Dak has done in his first 10 years, and the numbers are shockingly comparable.
Oh, man.
Not to mention,
Careful saying these things
not
out
to
loud.
mention, I believe Brees threw significantly more interceptions than Dak has. So we don't look at those two players at all in the same way. It seems like whenever Dak succeeds, we try to hitch his victory wagon to some other cause. It's not Dak, right? It's, well, he's got CD, or he's got, for a while it was,
What, Dez?
well, yeah, Dez, but the running, Ezekiel Elliott.
Oh, yeah.
You know, or the offensive line, right? Remember how long the
Yes,
offensive line was
everything was
why
the
they
line, yep.
succeeded. I guess it was just a way of saying, from a production standpoint, Dak has been regularly great, rarely praised, and here we have another season where these disparities are wild. Like, you could start Dak this year in fantasy, and it would be not worth it at all. There were 9 games in which you were like, whoops. And then there were 7 games in which he was a absolute difference maker.
When he has played 16 games, he's finished in the top 12, and often finishing much higher than
How many
that.
times has he played 16 games? I'm just not a gotcha.
7.
I'm just curious.
7. So 7 times he's completed the season, and 3 times he's been out because of injury.
Yeah, I mean, it's just I think we're going to always have this conversation with Dak about what he truly represents for
It's
fantasy football.
and it's hard. It's hard being the Cowboys quarterback in terms of the scrutiny put onto you. Like I was, and not talk about the commentary stuff, but Tony Romo, the player, Tony Romo, the quarterback, was a very good quarterback.
Yes, he was.
He has unfortunately one of the biggest gaffes in football history of botching the snap, and it's like that stains the. But dude, Tony Romo was great, and Dak Prescott is great.
Yes.
I want to actually give you the numbers.
Please.
With Breeze, if you don't mind. So this is 10 seasons. This is 139 games played for Dak and 138 games played for Drew Brees.
Okay.
Dak has a better record as a starting quarterback.
Okay.
83 and 55. Brees was 79 and 58. Higher completion percentage goes to,
That one's surprising
way.
if it's
it's
Dak.
Dak. 66.9%.
Breeze was breaking records.
Well, later on, but first 10 years, 65%. Passing yards, Dak. More passing yards. Passing touchdowns, Dak by 8. Interceptions, 92 for Dak, 132 for Drew Brees in that span. And that doesn't even give him any credit for being the 4 times the rusher that Drew
I was
Brees
going to say,
was.
on the ground, Dak was way better.
When did Brees change teams? What year?
I mean, it was early. It was really early. I can give you that.
Yeah. Because in my head, I'm like, he was a Charger.
While you look that up,
right?
He
Not
was
that long,
he was
4 or 5
a
years.
Charger for longer than I thought. He had played 4 years there as a starter, 5 years total. So again, his record breaking completion percentage years go well beyond his 10th season when his last 4 years 72, 74, 74, 70.
I think the issue.
Thank you, Michael Thomas.
The
Michael
issue with
Thomas?
Dak Prescott is the same as what you were bringing up with Tony Romo. It's a Dallas Cowboys issue. Their franchise
and never winning playoff games.
That's what I mean. The franchise is not taken super serious right now. They haven't been in an NFC Championship game in longer than every other NFC team by triple almost everybody. And it's like a Jerry Jones problem. If you were to give Dak, with those stats, 1 Super Bowl, he won a Super Bowl 4 years ago.
Yeah, it changes everything.
Everything
of your perception about him, for sure.
And I don't think that's fair to Dak. He, to be honest, for the last several years, I feel like we've been a very pro Dak.
Yeah,
as a player group. He's not
excellent
given
for fantasy.
Not given the credit that he deserves. Awesome for fantasy. Yeah. I don't think he's ever not finished as a quarterback 1 if he's finished the season.
Correct.
So I'm on Team Dak. The wins and losses thing, it's an interesting stat, but it's not really that indicative. It's not against good defenses or against bad defenses. Obviously, you would expect to score fewer points in the games you lose because you scored fewer points than your opponent. But there's also the weird games this season where, week 1, Dak played great, moved the ball against the Super Bowl champion Eagles, and then Javonte got all the touchdowns. They lost that game by a few, but they scored a lot of points.
I think the highlight there is just that it was the biggest gap ever for a quarterback that finished as high as he did. And then you didn't get some garbage time special stuff from Dak this year. Otherwise, maybe those even out a little bit better. We'll see what the defense can do next year. I'm trying to decide what I want to go with for the second one. I think I want to have the Jeanty discussion. So our second shocking stat, let me see if I can pull it up here. I don't remember where is that one?
It's number 5.
Number 5. It's just right next to it.
Yeah.
This one's called Where's the Big Play? So Ashton Jeanty touched the ball 321 times. That's a lot. 6 plays of 20-plus yards. This next part is going to hurt.
Get ready.
Austin Hooper touched the ball
gosh.
21 times.
No,
So
don't do
300
this.
fewer times. 6 plays of 20-plus yards. You cannot hear stuff like that and not – if you've been in the fantasy
That's
football –
a funny stat.
Yeah, that one's ridiculous, Kyle. If you've been in the fantasy football world for enough time, you just can't look at the Jeanty season and not have in the back of your mind somewhere. You see, I haven't told either of you what I'm going to say, but you might already know it. But Trent Richardson has
That's the name I thought.
it's
the
tucked
name.
in the back of your head because the volume masked things like this. Now, the very end of the year, there were a couple big plays by Jeanty that I think were truly special, but it is in the back of your head. 60% of his runs went for 3 yards or fewer. I am excited about Kubiak arriving.
Yes.
I'm excited about them having, Mendoza stabilize that position. They had the worst quarterback in football this year. I genuinely think that. I think Geno was worse than Shador this year. I think he was the single most detrimental offensive player for any team. Poor Pete Carroll.
The record would bear that out.
So, but Ashton Jeanty, let's talk about him for a second. I'm not going to hold it against him that he got that many opportunities. That's a good thing. If he didn't get that many opportunities and he was this inefficient, I think we would be talking bust/fears.
Oh yeah. If he was someone that touched the ball 240 times this year, and was as inefficient, that would be, he wouldn't be drafted in the top 15 running backs at all going into next season. The fact that at the end of the season he had a couple big breakaway plays, breakaway games. His single game against the Houston Texans where he
Yeah.
did have a
Yep.
60-yard touchdown reception, where he had a 51-yard carry against a great defense, was like, that's him. That's the guy that, we drafted high in fantasy, that the Raiders drafted high in the NFL draft. Honestly, the change over as a whole, quarterback, offensive mind, play caller, Kubiak coming in, it's going to forgive a lot of, the problems that he experienced this last year. I think everything will be forgiven, and he'll be drafted
I was going to ask.
probably higher maybe than he should
I was
be.
going to read some names to you, if you don't mind. Give me your first initial reaction on who you'd like more or less. I'm looking at the top finishers for last year, by the way. His yards per carry, just to give you context, 1 plus for him. He finished at 12 overall, and at 12 overall, it was on the worst team in football that gets the number 1 pick. And we always want running backs with winning teams, so he managed to finish top 12.
Well, winning teams, but also running backs who had a rookie quarterback start 10 or more games over the last decade. The running back 1 for those teams averaged 7.5 total touchdowns.
You want to hear something crazy?
Per season.
Top 25 finishers at running back. The lowest 3 in yards per carry. You ready for him?
Ashton Jeanty.
You know Ashton Jeanty's there, right?
Mm-hmm.
There were 2 at or below his number.
What was he at?
3.7.
Now,
by the way,
Barkley
number
was
1
sub-4.
overall, Christian McCaffrey was 3.9. So that was actually exceptionally low.
Was Barkley sub 4?
Saquon Barkley was not. He was 4.1.
Okay.
The other 2 are rookies.
Oh, how funny.
RJ Harvey
Yeah.
was
okay.
3.7.
Okay.
And then number 25 on the total list, got hurt,
Judkins?
Quinshawn Judkins,
Yeah.
was 3.6 per carry. The 3 rookies, and guess what the 4th one is, down at 29? Woody Marks at 3.6. So literally, like, out of the top 30 running backs, the 4 lowest yards per carries were rookies.
If you want at least some hope.
And RJ Harvey's offensive line was way better than
No,
Jinty's.
Harvey's kind of a scary
He's
player
starting to
right
look
now.
at, like, I'm starting to see his career out in front of me in the looking glass, whatever. It looks like committee back type of guy.
If you want at least something hopeful, we're looking at lowest yards before contact per attempt.
Poor guy.
Yes, very much so. And we're looking at, we've got 14 first-round running backs, the oldest one being going back to Ezekiel Elliott. So of the 14 players, lowest yards before contact, a.k.a. his offensive line is doing nothing to help him. He was last at 1.6. Just in front of him would have been the Najee Harris rookie year, if you remember. Very similar thing to Ashton Jeanty of volume took care of everything, especially receiving. Now, different players because no one confuses Najee, even rookie Najee, his big playability versus Ashton Jeanty. Those are
Very different.
very different things. But so they got to fix the run scheme. I mean, the fact that we had Pete Carroll's kid running the offensive line.
Yeah, that was a nepo fail.
Yes.
It's funny because we look at like the Kubiaks,
Yes.
nepotism, the Shanahans, nepotism,
And we're
the
like,
Floors,
good. Give me more.
the Harbaughs,
Give me more.
Yeah.
Have more kids.
Give me more Shanahan.
But sometimes it don't work especially when it's your kid who seemingly doesn't deserve it and then gets it as a surprise and then everyone else is fired but him.
You got to remember, like, Saquon Barkley was sub 4 a carry in his final year in New York.
Yeah.
You changed offensive lines, and he added 2 yards per carry.
I mean, you have the thing where a player like this on a team like this,
Is that what
they
you're
start
looking for?
pressing. They start wanting to hit a
Are you
home
looking
run,
for
which
that
makes
to move
things
him
worse.
up in your rankings? That they
Oh,
that
man.
they,
Offensive
if they
line,
make
yes.
offensive line
offensive
moves,
line is 100%.
could he make top 5 for you with offensive line
No,
moves?
I don't think he can.
Because
He
of
could-
rookie
he
quarterback?
could-
Yeah.
I think he could get near it for sure. But that's what they need to do. They need to go out and trade for a guard, sign a tackle. Like the fact that
Give
right
me the
now,
other positions.
the fact
Center,
that right now
tight end.
we are talking about on today's news that they're really targeting Alec Pierce or Rashid Shaheed is like go and spend some money on
Not that.
not that just any of the
It's
other
the boring stuff.
Yeah.
It's the gross stuff.
Well,
Look at
and
Chicago.
You got the money now. Rookie quarterback contract, baby.
Mhm.
Make the most of it. All right, we'll take a break, and I've got more shocking stats for you.
Today's show is brought to you by our friends over at Prize Picks. Shoot your shot on Prize Picks and get $50 instantly in lineups when you play your first $5. That's right. Prize Picks is now giving you $50 in lineups when you sign up and play your first $5. Prize Picks is simple to play. Just pick more or less on 2 to 6 player stat projections. If you get your picks right, you could cash in. And we're talking all your favorite sports: basketball, baseball, hockey, UFC, soccer, college basketball, tennis, golf, esports, and more. And now Prize Picks has early payouts if your player gets off to a hot start. You might have the option to cash out those winnings before the game even finishes, and all withdrawals are fast and secure. Download the Prize Picks app today and use code FOOTBALLERS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code FOOTBALLERS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks. It's good to be right.
All right, our next one, let's talk about rookie tight end quirks. All right, we have Tyler Warren, Colston Loveland. We talked about Fannin earlier, so we'll complete the trifecta here, the triforce of rookie tight ends. But Tyler Warren and Colston Loveland's seasons did not just end on different notes, right? Warren took over the front half of the season. He looked like maybe you'd have the top tight end again with when Bowers got hurt.
Yeah, for sure.
There was a chance that Warren would be the top tight end. At the second half of the season, it was Colston Loveland's time. I just looked at, I think, the last 8 games of the season. Point for Fannin, even in that span where Loveland was, I think, number 5. I think Fannin was like 4. Like in points per game, they were 5 and 6 or something. Fannin was still ahead in the second half of the year when Loveland took off. But the interesting thing about Warren and Loveland is that they even produced in very, very different ways. 62% of Warren's fantasy points came in the first half of the game, which that made a great impression on us too. You turn the game on, and Warren every time.
It was pretty
I would
often.
prefer that.
It's nicer that way, but it was also pretty often where it's like you'd watch what Tyler Warren's doing, and you're going to be like, oh, he's finishing. He's the number 1 tight end this week, and then
he didn't do anything else.
He's finished playing this week.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah, and then
Of course,
42.
I remember that with Jonathan Taylor too. It was like
Yep.
the Colts were so good the first half of this year before Daniel Jones went down.
First
they were
half of the
so-
first halves too.
They were so good that they didn't do much of anything in the second half,
That was brutal.
Till
and then
Sauce
they didn't
got
make
there.
the playoffs.
42% of Loveland's fantasy points came in the fourth quarter, so they completely different. You would start Loveland and go, oh.
I would be surprised, or maybe that's the wrong word. I would be interested to see what percent of Caleb Williams' points are scored in the fourth quarter, because watching Bears games was
Kyle will probably figure that out in about
the story
30 seconds.
of the Bears and Caleb Williams was, how do they possibly keep coming back in the fourth quarter? But they did it on the weekly, and then they did it in the playoffs. Like, they really got to get the first 3 quarters going.
Yeah, I look at those specific disparities for those two guys as incredibly fluky and non-prescriptive personally. You know, Loveland, part of what he did, again, we have the fantasy context. They went to the playoffs. They won a game in the playoffs. They played 2 playoff games. We kept seeing Colston Loveland be an important part of this offense. I think his establishment over the second half, regardless of what time of game the points came, is what I'm more looking forward to in the next season, where this was the progressive unlocking of a super weapon, in my opinion.
I do agree.
It seemed that way, and I know I've brought up the fact that when Colston Loveland started having his breakout, that was when Rome Odunze went down to injury and the targets went his way. And it was really a question of when everybody's healthy, when Luther Burden is healthy and when Rome is healthy, is Colston Loveland really going to matter? But you're right, Andy, down the stretch into the playoffs, once they were all healthy, Loveland was their best receiving option, including the wide receivers. Jacob Gibbs on Twitter tweeted this out. There was basically about 100 routes where all 3 of those guys were on the field together.
Oh, okay.
And on those routes, team target percentage, you had Luther Burden at 18.8, Rome Odunze at 20, and Colston Loveland at 33.8, which is an outrageously high number.
Yes.
Mr.
Loveland.
So, I mean, that's, if you want to be bullish on Loveland, that to me is the stat that says he can be a high target even with everybody healthy and active, because he was in the most important time of the year.
And there was a part of this year, and this just shows the reactionary sports fantasy culture, where because of his injury, we were ridiculing Chicago for the pick. How could you and look at what Tyler Warren can do. How could you possibly go with Colson? And then by the end, you're like, well, maybe they did their homework. And to me, the eye test was passed by all three.
Yeah,
all three of those rookies. That's why you put them in order. That's where, like, I guess me personally, I don't feel a disrespect for Fannin just because I have him third of that bunch, because it's like 3 A, B, and C to me.
Right.
Or 1 A, B, and C.
We disrespect them all.
I guess 3 works because if you want to put McBride and Bowers.
Sure.
And then it's 3 A, B, and C.
It probably is very accurate. I remember early in the offseason, you came in and you're like, dude, I just got asked the question I can't come up with. And it was basically put those
dynasty.
3 guys in order, and the 3 of us had 3 completely different orders.
So Kyle looked it up. Caleb, second most passing touchdowns in the fourth quarter and overtime in the NFL.
Spread it out.
Number one was Mr. Stafford.
Yeah, it's interesting. I'm going to read you some more shocking stats. I just want to get your kind of knee-jerk reaction to any of them, if there's anything prescriptive for fantasy, if you want to make fun of anybody because of them.
Oh, I do.
Whatever the case may be. One that was really cool, it was just Daniel Jones, who had gone from the worst quarterback under pressure in his career to apparently the best. He led all quarterbacks in completion percentage when under pressure and in passer rating when under pressure. The previous 2 years, he was basically basement dwelling when it comes to under pressure passer rating, completion percentage, and yards per attempt. And then he was number 6 in yards per attempt, and number 1 in passer rating. How?
I think if we had more numbers, I'm guessing that he was under pressure far less this last year and had opportunities to, like, get into the game, get into play action, have a lead where he's not spent his career usually having a lead, and the pass rush that's coming after him is because it's like, oh, this is great advantage for the defense. Now he was playing for a team where it's like the advantage was usually on the offense. He was usually leading, and they didn't know if you were going to run or pass.
Less desperation when under pressure?
Exactly.
Yeah, well said. How about this one, Mike? The 2025 Steelers offense threw the ball, on average, 2.97 yards short of the first down marker. The lowest
I love this stat
of any NFL team in 10 years. 67% of Pittsburgh's passing yards came after the catch. This is a simultaneous gut punch to all Metcalf managers and a confusing head scratch to we got to get this guy back behind center.
Aaron Rodgers?
Yeah.
My initial reaction is this is the most Aaron Rodgers. I get to blame everybody else for how did we not get the first down? I completed the pass. You're like, bro, throw to the sticks.
Wasn't he historically, even when he was at his peak, wasn't there a big conversation about not taking certain chances when he had those incredible 37-4 touchdown to interception ratio seasons?
Not that
Do you remember
recall.
this? There were times when they really, I think it was kind of towards the end of the Green Bay era, he had put up back-to-back seasons of 37-4 and 38-3 or something like that.
Yeah, the ayahuasca years.
But he wasn't willing. There were certain plays that looked like he left him out on the field because he didn't want to throw that interception, didn't want to mess up those numbers.
Yeah.
These numbers that you're talking about with the before the sticks, it's like, hey, my completion percentage stays high. My numbers look good as I move into the Hall of Fame season.
It's everybody else's fault.
Well, that much is always true.
So I love that. Also,
he's going to say yes to McCarthy coming back, and then he's going to yell at McCarthy all season long.
This is so it's now framed as like a DK Metcalf question, and I will be out. I will be out. I was dragged in.
That's your guy, DK Metcalf.
I was dragged
Champion.
in by the possibility of Aaron Rodgers, wide receiver 1, getting volume. That volume didn't show up.
No more Arthur Smith, though.
Yeah, but DK Metcalf still is who I think he is, which is
that might be true.
A good wide receiver, a player I'd like to have on my NFL team, but not paying him wide receiver astronomical contract money.
Couple wild Jet stats for you. The Jets were tied or trailing on 93% of their offensive snaps. And the Jets ranked last in rushing plays inside the 5 for the 3rd consecutive year.
What a fart of a franchise. I am so sorry to Jets fans. They are just about the only one I feel for more than us Cardinals and Browns fans. The Jets, Jets, sucks. I mean, they are the worst.
I don't know if you know how to spell.
I don't know if the Jets know how to spell.
Oh, my goodness. Yeah, I mean, there's not a lot to go with there other than the fact that Breece is going to be gone. They did not get inside the 5 enough to give Breece opportunities to be elite. Braylon Allen is still
being gone should help him.
Braylon Allen is still 22 years old. I am curious about what that looks like for the Jets next year. Isaiah Davis is also very young. If they don't draft somebody.
Over under 275 targets for Garrett Wilson.
Who's the quarterback?
I don't know.
Well, if it's a
Tua
rookie under.
Tagovailoa.
Oh, over.
Dude.
I
would take it.
Yeah,
I would.
Yeah.
Us
sliding
struggling
scale.
the Garrett Wilson hive out there. I know you were with me. Yes.
Now wait a minute.
You grade on a scale when it comes to Garrett Wilson
we would take Tua. We absolutely would.
Have you heard the latest rumor?
Oh,
for who could play quarterback there? Now that I forget who they got, a quarterback's coach or someone who's good friends with a guy who recently said he would be willing to come out of retirement to play quarterback.
Oh no.
Yeah, oh no, indeed.
Bill Musgrave is their new?
Yes.
Bill Musgrave.
Yeah.
is their new quarterback.
No. That's the new offensive.
Yes. And
quarterback
good
coach.
friends with Derek Carr.
I'd take Derek Carr.
Really? Say that. Tell that to Chris Olave. And enjoy your murder balls for Garrett Wilson.
I will tell that to just based off of the current depth chart.
All I know is that if Garrett Wilson has to catch Derek Carr
Garrett
balls,
Wilson won't survive.
No, he won't.
Okay, no, I'm out on that. Give me Tua.
Yeah, because Tua doesn't blow his guys up either.
Tua throws it so far behind his players, they have room to come back and get it.
It's the best way to throw a deep pass.
It really is. I don't understand why it's like not the way. Run a 9, and then like when you get to the 10-yard line or where, however far, just plant in the turf and come back straight.
Get that
like
PI.
They should just literally have that be a play where you go 30 yards down the field, full sprint, boom, crush it back straight to the quarterback. You're going to be wide open.
Do you feel like
That's what
the
Tyreek would do.
Jets, the Cardinals, and the Browns in particular, they're like teams stuck inside of a maze and somebody hands them a map and the map is just gibberish? There's like no path.
No,
I don't see a clear path out for either of those.
I feel like
those
ownership looks at the map and they're like, no.
I can draw you. I can draw you.
We don't need this.
Mm-hmm.
We run professional football teams that we worked really hard
to buy
to be born into owning.
Right, yeah.
Well, that is going to do it. We'll wrap it up right there. We've got a couple great episodes coming up, a rookie review show. What in the world?
Wait, what do you got?
Did you see next Thursday
I
what they've come up with for us?
Oh.
Why don't you just tell me what next Thursday is?
Mock draft.
Oh, baby. I love
the first
just
round.
the first round mock draft. Just the first
I
round.
love it.
Well, we'll see where we disagree there. But that'll do it for today's episode of the show. UltimateDraftKit.com. Also, don't forget YouTube exists. Al, send them some links, stuff you're watching. We'll watch it together on next show. Take it easy, everybody.
Goodbye.
Thank you for listening to another episode of the Fantasy Footballers Podcast. Join our fantasy football community on jointhefoot.com and follow us on Twitter @TheFFBallers.